The United States men's hockey team has defeated Canada in overtime to win the gold medal at the 2026 Winter Olympics. In a rivalry defined by history, geography, and generational pride, the Americans prevailed 2-1 in a championship game that felt larger than sport. It was not chaotic, it was not reckless, it was disciplined, tense, and precise. And when the final shot crossed the line in overtime, it ended a 46-year wait for Olympic gold in men's hockey. The opening minutes were measured. Both teams understood what was at stake. This was not just a medal game. It was the latest chapter in one of the most intense rivalries in international competition. The United States came out composed, controlling pace through structured breakouts and neutral zone discipline. Canada matched that composure with physical presence and calculated pressure. There were no early mistakes. Every shift carried intention. The Americans struck first. A controlled entry led to a clean passing sequence and a well placed finish that gave the United States a 1 goal lead. It was not flashy, it was clinical. The bench reacted with energy, but not panic or celebration. The job was far from finished. Canada responded by increasing tempo, tightening gaps, and forcing contested puck battles along the boards. The first period ended with the United States ahead, but the margin felt fragile. In the second period, Canada adjusted. Their defensive pairings pinched more aggressively. Their forwards drove deeper into the zone. The pressure mounted gradually rather than dramatically. Eventually, persistence paid off. A late second period equalizer shifted momentum and reminded everyone watching why Canada has long been considered the standard in international hockey. The game was tied at 1. The reset was complete. The third period became a study in patience. Neither team overcommitted. Defensive structure took precedence over risk. Goaltenders at both ends delivered calm, technically sound performances. Rebound control, lateral movement, and shot tracking defined the frame. As the minutes passed, the tension built not through chaos, but through restraint. Every cleared puck, every blocked shot, every neutral zone stand carried weight. Regulation ended with the score still tied. Overtime in an Olympic gold medal game carries a different kind of silence. It is not loud anticipation, it is compressed expectation. Every decision becomes magnified. The United States entered overtime with composure. They did not chase the moment, they trusted their system. Just over a minute into the extra session, a controlled transition turned into opportunity. A quick read in the neutral zone created space. A precise pass found open ice. The shot was decisive, low, and accurate, beating the goaltender cleanly. The puck crossed the line and the game ended instantly. 2-1, United States. There was no gradual realization. Overtime goals are abrupt. The bench emptied. Sticks were raised. Gloves were thrown skyward. But beneath the celebration was something deeper than excitement. It was release. To understand why this victory resonates so strongly, it is necessary to revisit the shadow it has long carried. The United States last won Olympic gold in men's hockey in 1980. That team, composed primarily of amateur and collegiate players, defeated the heavily favored Soviet Union in what became known as the Miracle on Ice before claiming gold days later. That moment defined American hockey identity for decades. Since then, the United States has produced world class talent, national development programs strengthened, collegiate pipelines expanded, NHL representation increased. Yet Olympic gold remained elusive. There were strong teams, there were close calls, there were medal runs that fell just short. The weight of history lingered quietly in the background of every Olympic cycle. This 2026 team did not attempt to replicate 1980. They did not lean on mythology. They built their identity on depth, speed, and modern structure. The roster reflected a generation shaped by elite training systems, professional development pathways, and international experience. They were not underdogs in the traditional sense, they were contenders. Canada, meanwhile, entered the tournament with its own legacy. With multiple Olympic gold medals and a deeply rooted hockey culture, Canada has long been the benchmark for international play. Every generation of Canadian players grows up with the expectation of excellence. Facing Canada in a gold medal game means confronting not just a team, but a tradition. That tradition showed throughout the championship. Canada's puck movement was fluid, their defensive coverage was layered, their special teams units were disciplined. But on this night, the United States matched them shift for shift. What separates a championship team in a moment like this is rarely flash. It is composure under compression. The Americans displayed that composure consistently. When Canada equalized, there was no visible frustration. When the third period tightened, there was no reckless push. They stayed within themselves. The human layer of this victory runs through the locker room. For veteran players, this was validation. Years of international competition, development camps, and prior disappointments culminated in one decisive moment. For younger players, it was the beginning of a legacy. They will forever be known as the group that ended the drought. Families watched from across the United States. Youth hockey programs paused to follow the game. Former Olympians reflected on their own near misses. The ripple effect of a gold medal stretches far beyond the ice. Participation in youth hockey often surges after international success. Investment increases, visibility grows. Moments like this shape the next generation. There is also the broader Olympic context. The Winter Games often revolve around singular performances, individual brilliance under immense pressure. Team sports, especially hockey, bring a different narrative. They showcase collective discipline. They demand cohesion among players who, outside the Olympics, compete against each other in professional leagues. To assemble that cohesion in a short tournament window requires leadership and clarity. The leadership group on this American roster played a central role. Communication on the bench remained steady. Defensive assignments were reinforced calmly. Shift lengths were controlled. Overtime preparation was deliberate. These details rarely headline highlight reels, but they determine outcomes. Goaltending deserves particular recognition. In championship hockey, the goaltender becomes both anchor and stabilizer. The American netminder faced sustained pressure in the second period and critical sequences late in regulation. Save selection was efficient, positioning minimized second chance opportunities. When overtime began, there was no sign of fatigue in movement or focus. Confidence radiated quietly. The overtime goal itself will be replayed for years, not because it was acrobatic or theatrical, but because of its context. It ended the game. It secured gold. It punctuated 46 years of waiting. Players often speak of time slowing down in decisive moments. For those on the ice, the shot likely felt suspended between possibility and finality. For those watching, it was immediate. Beyond emotion, this victory signals a structural milestone. United States hockey development programs have long emphasized speed and skill, mirroring trends in the NHL. This roster reflected that philosophy. Transition play was crisp, defensive gaps were tight. The ability to shift quickly from defense to offense proved critical in overtime. Canada's program will respond. Rivalries evolve through response. The next World Championship, the next Olympic cycle, the next international tournament will carry the memory of this result. That is the nature of sustained competition between elite programs. For now, though, the moment belongs to the United States. The medal ceremony provided a visual culmination, gold draped over shoulders, the anthem played, sticks rested against boards. Players removed helmets and looked upward, absorbing the reality of what they had accomplished. 46 years is a long arc in sport. Entire generations of players grew up hearing about 1980 as history rather than lived experience. This 2026 team has now created its own chapter, not a miracle, not an upset defined by improbability, a victory defined by preparation and execution. In reflecting on this game, it becomes clear that its significance extends beyond rivalry. It reinforces the cyclical nature of sport. Dominance shifts, narratives evolve, new leaders emerge. The United States men's hockey program has signaled that its foundation is not only strong, but sustainable. The closing seconds of overtime did not just end a game, they marked transition. From pursuit to fulfillment, from history remembered to history written. In the years ahead, analysts will dissect line combinations, coaching adjustments, and overtime strategy. Fans will remember where they were when the puck crossed the line. Young players will imagine themselves in similar moments. That is the enduring power of Olympic gold. The 2026 final will be archived alongside the great games of international hockey, not because it was chaotic, but because it was disciplined. Not because it was dramatic and spectacle, but because it carried weight. United States 2, Canada 1, overtime, a rivalry renewed, a drought ended, a legacy extended, and for American hockey, a new chapter has begun.